Hi students, welcome to my channel. In this channel we provide the in-depth knowledge of different programming languages like C, C++, Java, Python. We have uploaded playlist of all the languages. You can go and check it out. In which language you are interested, you can check out the playlist that we have already uploaded on this channel. In our series of C++ programming, today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is how we can return a reference from a function. We have already gone through how we can pass the parameters to a function. So there are three ways in which these parameters can be passed to a function in C++. First one is by value, second one is by address, and third one is by reference. We have already discussed and uploaded the lecture. If somebody is interested, go and watch it out in the playlist. Today we are going to discuss how we can return a reference from a function and what are the things that we have to keep in mind while returning a reference from a function. We have already seen how we can pass a reference to a function as a parameter. We can also return a reference from a function. When a function returns a reference, the function call can exist in any context where a reference can exist, including on the receiving side of the argument. How? Let's see. Here we are having a small program hash include iostream using namespace standard std struct emp char name age and salary. What is struct here? Struct is a user defined data type. It is usually a collection of dissimilar data type, but it's not a rule. But usually structures are collection of dissimilar data type, whereas arrays are collection of similar data type. Okay, so here we are declaring one structure with a name emp, which is having three structure elements: character name, age and salary. Then we are defining two variables of type structure e1 and e2, to which three values are initialized: Amol 25 2354 and Ajay 27 and 4000. Then in the main function, what we are writing emp and a fun. What is this? This is a prototype of the fun function. What is fun? Fun is a user defined function which is defined by the user. User means you and me. So emp ampersand fun, what is specified? If fun is a user defined function which receives nothing, but it is returning a reference of type what? Emp. What is emp? Emp is a user defined data type that we have already discussed. We have already declared struct emp name, age and salary. Fine. Now see here, when I write fun equal to e2, this is new to us. Why? Because till date, whenever we call a function, we always call either on the right hand side of the assignment operator, or if we are not using assignment operator, we are just calling fun. But this is new, we are calling on the left hand side of the assignment operator. What does it mean? If whatever the fun function will return, e2 will be assigned to that value. Means it is returning a reference, and that reference will be initialized with e2. Getting my point? How? Let's see. Now when I write cout less than handle e1.name, e1.age and e1.sal, what I will get? I will get Ajay 27 and 4000. Before seeing this output, first whenever we make a function call, linker links the function call with the function definition, and the control will move down to the definition of the function. In the definition, what we are writing? We are displaying e1.name, e1.age and e1.salary. What we are getting? Amol 25 and 2354. Why? Because e1 is initialized with Amol 25 and 2354. Fine. Then we are returning e1. Now what is e1 here? e1 is a global variable. Actually we are not returning e1. What we are returning? We are returning a reference of e1. Now what is reference? Reference is a constant pointer which is automatically dereferenced by the compiler, or it's another name given to the variable that we have already learned ki what is reference. So when we are returning e1, actually we are not returning, we are returning a reference, means whatever e2 will be initialized, that will be initialized to e1. It is equivalent to e1 equal to e2. Okay, why? Because this fun function is returning a reference to e1, it is equivalent to e1 equal to e2. That is why when I try to display e1.name, e1.age and e1.salary, what we are getting? We are getting Ajay 27 and 4000, which is initialized in e2. Now e1 and e2 are global variables that can be accessible by main function as well as fun function. Getting my point? So here what we are getting, e1.name, e1.age, e1.sal. By seeing the output, what we can say is this e2 values are initialized to e1. This is known as one shot copy. As we have already learned in our C language, there are two types of copies through which we can copy the contents of one structure variable into another. First one is piece by piece copy and second one is one shot copy. So this is an example of one shot. All the contents of e2 will be copied in e1. Then return 0 and program terminates. Any doubt in this you can ask me, otherwise we will move further. So this is how we can return a reference from a function. Actually, whenever we have already gone through how we can pass a reference to a function. Actually in reference nothing is passed, but a connection is made between the parameters. When I write a comma b in the case of references, if we are passing the reference of a and b will be passed, and in the formal argument what I will write, int and of I comma and of j. So what is I and j? I and j are the reference of a and b. Getting my point? I and j are the reference of a and b. That for I and j no allocation is there. It's another name given to I and b. Now if you manipulate I and j, it will reflect to a and b. Same thing when we are trying to return the reference from this fun function. तो what we are returning e1, तो e1 का reference मतलब e1 अपन return कर रहे हैं. तो what we are writing, e1 equal to e2, तो fun equal to e2, the copy of e2 means in place of this fun, what actually returns from that fun function, that is e1. To make it very clear in your mind कि whenever we return a reference from a function, it always called on the left hand side of the assignment operator. By seeing the function call, you can figure out that this fun function is returning some reference. That is why in the prototype what we have written, emp ampersand of fun. What does it mean? Ki fun is a user defined function which will receive nothing, but it will return a reference of type emp. What is emp? Emp is a structure. What is structure? Structure is a user defined data type. Okay, go through this. If any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. I will try to reply as early as possible. Okay, now let us see some notes. Here same that we have discussed, I have written for your notes. Here we declared a structure emp and initialized two global variables e1 and e2 to some values. Fun, having printed the value stored in e1, we have written it by reference. What is strange to this call, to the function call, it has been written on the left hand side of the assignment operator, fun equal to e2. The result is that the variable returned by a function is assigned the value on the right hand side of the equal to sign. The following output of cout statement in main verifies that the assignment has indeed taken place. That is why we are getting the output Ajay 23 and 4000. So what is strange here? Ki we are making a function call on the left hand side of the assignment operator. Getting my point? Here we have declared two variables, that is global E1 and E2. Fine. One important note. Do not try to return a local variable by reference. Never try to return a local variable by reference. This is because the local variable goes out of scope when the function returns. Means the life cycle of the local variable is till the control is in the block. As the control goes out of this block, this variable dies. Now you are returning a reference of that variable that does not exist. That is why what we have written, do not try to return a local variable by reference. This is because the local variable goes out of scope when the function returns, means we are returning a reference of a variable which does not exist. Some compiler issues a warning message. If they see the code like this, you are trying to return the reference of a local variable, so some compilers will warn you. If we ignore the warning, we will get the undesired result. No doubt if somebody is warning you, you should be cautious, but if you ignore the warning, to be prepared for undesired result. Sometimes program runs according to our wish because the stack location where the automatic variable exists is intact when the reference is used. Some of the cases, if your program executes, it doesn't mean sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. It's not at all a good practice to return the reference of a local variable. Why? Because local variable dies when the control goes out of the block. Sometime your program execute. Why? Because the stack location where the automatic variable exists is intact when the reference is used. A program which works in some cases can fail in other due to device or a multitasking interrupts that uses the stack. The moral of the story is never try to return the reference of a local variable, whether the program is working or sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but it is not at all a good practice to return a reference of a local variable. So always try to return the reference which is global, or you can return the reference which are static variables. Why? Because static variables life cycle is till the program execute. Okay. So this is how we can return a reference from a function. Any doubt you can ask me, otherwise we will stop here. Now if you like the contents of this channel, please like, share and subscribe as much you can. It motivates us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.